Good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Zambo with the news tonight. Our top stories in the news: the Patriotic Front anticipates the arrest of the former First Lady, Esther Lungu. Bus drivers call on police to help curb the infiltration of CADRES in bus stations. 2 maids in court for stealing $15,000 and underwear. In international news, Egypt hosts peace talks in CAIRO on Sudan conflict. And in sports news, Copper Queens intensify preparations for the World Cup.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
The news in detail. Some former New Horizon Printing Press Limited employees have called on relevant authorities and stakeholders to help them get their benefits from the company. Some of the employees spoken to have told Camnet News that they were forced to resign from their positions last year after failing to come to terms with management over low wages, but that their employer refused to pay them their benefits. Meanwhile, organization Human Resource Manager Vincent Jerry, when contacted, said the company has not refused to pay the former employees, but that it has been waiting for a response from the Ministry of Labor. More in this report.
Are some of the former New Horizon Printing Press Limited employees in Lusaka who have not been paid their benefits by the company following their resignation from the said company last year. According to these employees, they decided to quit from their positions after failing to come to an agreement with their employer over wages, but that despite having followed all the labor laws when resigning, their employer has refused to pay them their benefits.
I worked for this company for 11 years. After seeing that we are not agreeing with the conditions of service and other things, we decided to resign as per labor law. We followed the necessary procedure. We gave notice of 30 days according to the employment code. We were given letters by the company. The only thing which appeared was a salary and leave days, but there were no terminal benefits for the years we worked for.
They further explained that the matter was reported to the Ministry of Labor, who later invited the company to a discussion table where the company was told to pay the former employees, but that the directive was ignored by the said company.
After the company was being called for mediation, we sat in the mediation. They were told to say what you did is not according to the laws. They were advised what to do verbally. As well, they were written to.
This is the first letter which they did from the labor. They were instructed to pay us. They wrote this letter to them. They ignored it. And then the second one is this one. Also, they ignored it, meaning that there are no regards for the government. They are not in support with the laws of Zambia.
They also explained that following the company's failure to abide by the directive given by the Ministry of Labor, the ministry has referred the matter to Legal Aid, but they feel the process at Legal Aid will take longer as they desperately need the resources, hence calling on other stakeholders and the relevant authorities to help them recover their benefits.
The referral which came from the Ministry of Labor, they referred to the Legal Aid Board. So we just heard from the legal board, they say it's just to take time for it to be resolved. So we are appealing to the relevant authority to help us. We cannot go through the same process because we wait for that money and we never stolen anything.
We are asking or we are appealing to the relevant authority to help us so that we can get our money. We cannot work for 11 years for nothing. We work for someone for 11 years for nothing. No, we need our money.
Oh, what we want is our money, and we've worked for it. And our children, they are languishing, and we are languishing too. And we need that money to pay for our children's school fees and food
Meanwhile, Horizon Printing Press Limited Human Resource Manager Vincent Jerry, when contacted, told this reporter that the company has not failed to pay their former employees, but that they are waiting for directive from the Ministry of Labour.
Yes, we're waiting for the letter, yes, from the Ministry of Labour. Because we wrote them as well, so they said they are going to respond to us. So this is the position that we are at right now. We are waiting for them to give us the feedback. Not that we've refused to pay anyone. No, we don't have such.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Labour Commissioner Givens Montengwa, when contacted, confirmed to this reporter that the ministry wrote to the company compelling it to pay the former employees their dues, but that the company responded through their lawyers they are not owing the said former employees any benefits, which has now prompted the ministry to write to legal aid to take up the matter. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some bus drivers in Lusaka have appealed to the Zambia Police Service to curtail the rising trend of political cadres demanding money from them. The drivers, who spoke on condition of anonymity, say whilst cadreism seems to be absent in bus stations, the vice has gained momentum at bus stops along roads going into the outskirts of Lusaka. They say the cadres are collecting money for loading passengers as well as demarcating routes of operation for drivers, which should be adhered to without compromise. And Zambia Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says the service is not in receipt of any such reports. Mr. Hamonga has urged all affected bus drivers to report the suspected acts of cadreism so that the service can bring the culprits to book.
Despite several directives from President Hakainde Hichilema to cadres to desist from collecting money from members of the public or business establishments, the vice seems not to be dying easily. Bus drivers and marketeers continue to account for major victims as the suspected cadres engage in the illegality. Recently, despite accepting the illegal activities of the suspected cadres, Lusaka Province United Party for National Development UPND chairperson Obvious Mwaiteta instead accused Patriotic Front PF cadres of practicing the vice.
PF have now gone back in the streets, batenga mayuthi bao na kubauza kuti UPND is very peaceful, no one will harass you. Endani mwende mu stations, endani mu roads, start mounting road blocks, illegal road blocks, so that bantu baone kuti UPND now is misbehaving.
This reporter Thursday spoke to some drivers who opted to remain anonymous in the Central Business District over the cadreism situation. The drivers revealed the scourge is rampant in bus stops on the outskirts of the city, with the suspected cadres determining areas of operation and those in defiance are surcharged or their vehicles damaged.
Sometimes I'm poor on drama, so harassment in my road, more especially bowling like maning, more especially. They gonna put some cadres. They gonna happy to patenga muntu. Waguli pilisa na charge fee 450. Prior to that, you feel chama kambisa not to see a certain amount. But ndama rama phone awe na pakawebe wene wakira mulo yao 450. Patenga che muntu akuona twatenga muntu. Most especially ku bowling kwa munga ndeba ninga station appeal maningi.
Moto katenga kisibana izive kuja. Manga taenda ku matero sibana izive moto. So zaronga sibaza ku bloka kuja. Oronga tumfofera matera bana zaki kumfera moto kama taira ankala. Anga so azakuza chebugera bwenda ku musebenza.
However, Zambia Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga has advised the affected drivers to report the matter to the police for the service to take action.
So we want to encourage them, if you have not reported, they can make a formal report to the nearest police station. The police officers that are in that area can make inquiries and even bring the culprits to book. Yes, so and we want to warn, if there are any persons doing such things, they should stop henceforth, because that is not allowed and it's an offense. If they are found, they will be arrested.
For Camnet TV News, I am Kaptula Afias in Lusaka.
The Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association, Zanamaka, has appealed to marketeers across the country to desist from engaging in money schemes without verifying the authenticity of the source of the money. Association President Mupila Kamea says reports that some marketeers have been swindled of their hard-earned money by a named entrepreneurship hub is regrettable, and that it could have been avoided if marketeers consulted with Zanamaka to weigh in on the authenticity of the said company. And Mr. Kamea has since appealed to the government to find a way of ensuring that part of the Empowerment Fund under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, goes towards the empowerment of marketeers. More in this report.
Revelations have continued to pour from different marketeers at different markets in Lusaka of how Zambia Excellence Entrepreneurship Hub has robbed them of their hard-earned cash in the name of empowering them with loans to boost their businesses. Wednesday, some marketeers at Kazimai Market in Lusaka and City Market complained that the company they entrusted will boost their businesses has only ended up robbing them. The Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association, Zanamaka, has however appealed to marketers to ensure that they confirm with the union on the authenticity of any company that expresses interest in loaning out money to the traders or any organization that promotes business schemes to avoid being victims of scammers.
It's very, sad that a number of our marketeers, in other markets, have been swindled out of their hard-earned income. I think it's because of not understanding, certain things. It is very important going forward that every marketeer, before they get engaged into anything, they have to have where they can go and find out. We have the Ministry of Local Government. Anything that is coming in the market must have a clearance. What I feel, they must have a clearance from the Ministry of Local Government. They must have a clearance from government itself. Because now, this is not the first time. We've had a situation again, I think 3-5 years ago, where a number of marketeers were again swindled with the Presidential Empowerment Directive.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kamea has appealed to government to consider allocating a small fund under the Constituency Development Fund CDF to marketers to ensure that the traders have where to get resources and avoid being victims of scammers.
On the other side, again, we have advised government that with the CDF fund is also another opportunity for our people. CDF fund is in all the constituencies across the country. Why don't we apportion a particular percentage going into the markets so that our people begin to access something which is very genuine, and then appoint certain institutions that will stand in between government and our people. I think that way will create a lot of sanity other than what is happening now.
Meanwhile, the owners of the organization remain in police custody as the matter is being further investigated. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Zambezi Seed has donated 250,000 towards the successful hosting of the Umutomboko traditional ceremony. Company Corporate Affairs Director Evans Ngoma says his company is delighted to be associated with traditional ceremonies, as this is a way of preserving the Zambian culture. Mr. Ngoma says the company seeks to see all traditional ceremonies being successfully hosted. He further called on the corporate world to come on board and support the traditional ceremony, which will be held on the 29th of July. And Umutomboko Ceremony National Organizing Committee Vice Chairperson Muma Lumpa says preparations for the ceremony have advanced.
During the last week of July, the people of the Lower Luapula Valley in northern Zambia gather in the village of Mwansabombwe to celebrate their Lunda traditions and their paramount chief Mwata Kazembe. It is called the Umutomboko Traditional Ceremony. This year's event is built for the 29th of July 2023 and is special as the Mwata will be clocking 25 years on the throne. The Umutomboko Traditional Ceremony National Organizing Committee Vice Chairperson Mumalumpa says preparations for this year's ceremony have advanced.
To bring about a gift to Mwata, which will be seen as you come from Umutomboko. So the ceremony will not just start on the 29th, we will start on the 28th, because there are events which will culminate into the ceremony itself. But we are almost ready now.
And Zambezi Seed has donated 250,000 kwacha towards the successful hosting of the event. Zambezi Seed Corporate Affairs Director Evans Kanzonga Ngoma says his company is delighted to be part of the traditional ceremony.
We have come on board in a very, very strong way to sponsor the Umtomboko ceremony, and we are presumably the main sponsors of this year's ceremony. By taking up this enormous endeavor, we wish to demonstrate that we are committed to supporting activities that add value to our nation's culture and heritage, including uplifting the livelihoods of the local communities. Therefore, we as Zambezi Seed have donated a total amount of 250,000 kwacha towards the successful hosting of the 2023 Umtomboko traditional ceremony.
And Mr. Ngoma has called on all stakeholders and the corporate world to come on board and support traditional ceremonies.
Shut down. So let us come together and supplement efforts of our traditional leaders. You know, they are doing quite a lot to we the subjects. So now, when their time comes, like this one, we all need to rally behind Marta and give him the necessary support so that he can feel, hey, my people, they are there for me. So now, let us come together and supplement efforts of our traditional leaders and not forgetting the government in order to make such unique events more and more successful and memorable for years to come. Besides, Mwata is now celebrating 25 years on the throne. So this one, we really have to give him a boost. He should feel, hey, I think I should live for another so that I can come and celebrate the 50 years, you know, the jubilee. Yeah.
Umutomboko means a dance of victory or dance of conquest. In narrating the origin and the importance of Umutomboko, one has to link this important ceremony with the days when the Lunda people crossed the Luapula River. Reporting for Camnet TV News, my name is Mako Kwakozi in Lusaka.
The Community Action Against Corruption has observed that the arrest of some senior government officials and UPND members in connection with the Sujilite saga in Wapula province has exposed some opposition political parties that they are not interested in the fight against corruption. Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo says the same opposition political parties who only a few months ago called for the arrest of the former Wapula province minister, senior police officers and some UPND members involved in illegal Sujilite mining have today shifted their narrative to call the arrests as cosmetic and tribal. He is shocked that the opposition have completely shifted their narrative to tribal arrests without considering the fact that the people arrested in that scandal are not from one ethnic grouping.
You know, it is very much shocking to learn that up to now, the Auditor General's office has not issued a statement denying that the letter which is at the center of the allegation that the 65 million kwacha confiscated from Faith Musonda has been misappropriated or it has been misused. It is surprising. Why should it take 24 hours, 48 hours, or this long by the Auditor General's office to distance itself from that letter, if that letter never came from them? Because at the moment, as things stand, that letter is a contradiction. It is now standing in contradiction with whichever statement government has made concerning that 65 million kwacha. And we can say whatever statement will come from the Auditor General's office denying that the letter never came from them will be taken as a damage control measure. But otherwise, the silence which has been shown so far is indicative of a situation where the letter must have come from them.
Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee in charge of Information and Publicity, Raphael Nakachinda, has alleged that police have been directed to arrest the former First Lady Esther Lungu tomorrow. Addressing the media Thursday afternoon, Mr. Nakachinda alleges that the directive to arrest the former First Lady comes from the top office and some senior police officers. He alleges that the former First Lady will be charged with aggravated robbery. Mr. Nakachinda says it is unbelievable that the former First Lady could be accused of such an offense. And Mr. Nakachinda has charged that the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has been pouncing on people's properties without any investigations.
We have been closely zooming and watching schemes that are being orchestrated under the directive of the top office, Community House, and some disgruntled senior police officers, to the effect that, one, to try and feed into the narrative of that the former First family could have been involved in some criminal activities at the time that for President Edgar Chakarungu was in State House. There was a directive given that tomorrow the police, regardless of the nature of the allegation, especially the civil issues that have to do with somebody who misappropriated funds for the former First Lady, that they would want to move and inconvenience her by arresting and try to charge her with aggravated robbery, which, first of all, is unbelievable to every well-meaning Zambian that a lady as peaceful as Mrs. Esther Lungu could even be thought of committing such a crime of aggravated robbery. But as it were, when you have a sadist, and you have sadists in government, they can go to whatever length in their desperation to justify their lies.
Two Lusaka housemaids have been taken to court for allegedly stealing 15,000 United States dollars and ladies' underwear belonging to their employer, Ali Ekau, a Lebanese national. Betisheba Malupende and Falesi Tembo stand charged with one count of theft by servant. According to court documents, the accused are also alleged to have between 30th May 2023 and 6th June 2023 stolen a head cover, washing dish, Karak food medicine, properties all valued at 262,600 kwacha. Here's a report.
A 23-year-old woman and her counterpart in Lusaka have been taken to court after they unfocused on their duty of maintaining the house of the alleged Lebanese boss to allegedly stealing $15,000 and ladies' sneakers. Betsheba Malupende, 23, and Fales Tembo stand charged with one count of theft by servant, allegations they pleaded not guilty to before Magistrate Mutinta Mwenya. The two maids are alleged to have stolen $15,000 equivalent to 276,000 kwacha, 313.95 ngwe between 30th May 2023 and 6th June 2023 from their Lebanese boss who stored the money in his house to pay for goods coming from Lebanon. In the two ladies' bags, certain items amounting to 7,600 were recovered, but $15,000 to date has not been recovered. The two maids are also alleged to have stolen a head cover, washing dish, Karak food medicine, and properties all valued at 262,600 kwacha. The $15,000, 262,600 kwacha, and properties are all believed to have belonged to a Lebanese national identified as Ali Ekau. The accused were arrested on Saturday, 10th June 2023, and later released on bail upon their recognizance. If found guilty and convicted, Betsheba Malupende and Fales Tembo risk serving a maximum jail sentence of 5 years. Magistrate Mutinta Mwenya has adjourned the matter to Tuesday, 25th July 2023. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Lusaka resident magistrate Sylvia Munyinya has cancelled independent Lomezi member of parliament Munia Zulu's bench warrant after spending 7 days behind bars. Mr. Zulu was arrested by the Department of Immigration on the 6th of July 2023 in his capacity as a surety for Mr. Kaiza Zulu. In this matter, Mr. Zulu is accused of failing to appear before the nearest immigration office and surrender a diplomatic passport. Here's a report.
There was celebration at the Lusaka Magistrate Court among sympathizers of independent Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu as he secured his freedom after spending 7 days in the freezing walls of police custody concerning the alleged disappearance of former President Edgar Lungu's political advisor Kaiza Zulu. Mr. Zulu was arrested on 6th July 2023 at a named lodge in Roma after being alleged to have been dodging immigration officers for contempt of court when Lusaka resident magistrate Sylvia Muninya issued bench warrants for Mr. Kaiza Zulu's bail sureties Munia Zulu and Chulubi Member of Parliament Mulenga Fube for failure to prevail on Mr. Kaiza Zulu not to abscond court sessions. But when the matter came up for the return of the bench warrant, Magistrate Muninya questioned why Shurichi Munia Zulu was nowhere before the court when called upon. In response, the Lumezi lawmaker explains that at the time he was expected to be in court, he was unwell at the University Teaching Hospital. Mr. Zulu says while at UTH, he was informed that a bench warrant had been issued against him. The Lumezi lawmaker assures the court that when he was arrested from home and in custody, he engaged private individuals to locate Kaiza. But the court firmly explains to Mr. Zulu that the warrant was issued because he did not avail himself at court as per agreement. When asked to provide evidence showing that he was sick at the time, the Lumezi MP, through his legal counsel, Jonas Zimba, provided the proof of illness through an affidavit file. Magistrate Moninya also questioned Mr. Zulu why he did not send someone to inform the court about his illness. The Lumezi lawmaker, while eager to escape the freezing magistrate court, responded that Counsel Bota came to inform the court about his illness, but the bench warrant was already issued. As such, Defense Counsel Jonas Zimba submitted that the bench warrant be discharged as the absence of the surety was not deliberate owing to the condition of his health. In her ruling, Magistrate Muninya gave the benefit of doubt to Mr. Zulu and set 18th July 2023 as the date for the return of the bench warrant against the accused. This is in a matter where the Lumezi lawmaker signed as a surety for Kaiza Zulu, who is charged with failure to surrender a diplomatic passport and to appear before the nearest immigration officer when he traveled out of the country. Mr. Kaiza Zulu was in November last year arrested and charged with 2 counts for failure to surrender his diplomatic passport when he was no longer a diplomat and failed to appear before the nearest immigration officer when he was on a trip outside Zambia. Meanwhile, Mr. Munia Zulu's lawyer, Jonas Zimba, has also assured the court that his client will diligently attend to his obligations as surety. The matter comes up on Tuesday, 18th July 2023 for the return of the bench warrant. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television News.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there. From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Consumer Unity Trust Society, CADRES International Zambia, says civil society organizations play a key role in the Southern Africa Development Community SADC regional integration process. Speaking during the National Civil Society-led Advocacy Forum in Lusaka Thursday on SADC regional integration, CADRES board member Sajiv Nair says non-state actors interact with ordinary citizens, hence they are relevant in championing the aspirations of the people. Meanwhile, Zambian Open University Dean School of Business Studies, Dr. Chungu Mwila, says through regional integration, Zambia has to maximize the opportunity to enhance industrialization through the mining sector. He, however, regrets that there has been a disregard for gender mainstreaming as the component in the Zambian context has been reduced to women's marketeers' empowerment.
As well as national and non-state actors, they have a key role to play. And if you remember, the 42nd Ordinary Heads of State Summit took place in Kinshasa last year. It formalized a process where non-state actors can work closely with the governments and also with the SADC Secretariat in the regional integration matters. So we have a formalized system established at SADC level, where the CSOs can collaborate and provide inputs.
This also ensures that there is alignment in terms of priorities of citizens as espoused by the different civil society organizations. It also ensures that there is accountability of office bearers who are meant to implement these initiatives that are of regional nature that are supposed to benefit the citizens of the different nations.
Though sometimes we tend to fall under that umbrella, but CSOs and private sector membership organizations like the Chambers of Commerce, Chambers of Mine, Farmers Union and all this need to be part and parcel of what's actually happening. And I actually expected to see more representation from them because what we're trying to achieve within SADC and the region also comes from the play of private sector.
Translates into giving 500 kwacha, 1,000 kwacha to women marketeers. And we say that is gender mainstreaming. What a sad thing to observe. Gender equates to women marketeers.
The Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants, ZICA, has underscored the importance of accurate and transparent financial reporting in enhancing good governance and sustainable economic growth. Reacting to the release of the annual financial report by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, ZICA President Cecilia Zimba says the ministry continues to exemplify the principles by promptly adhering to statutory obligations and providing comprehensive financial information to the public. In a statement, Ms. Zimba says by releasing the annual financial report as mandated by law, the Ministry of Finance has demonstrated its dedication to upholding financial integrity and reinforcing the trust of stakeholders, including citizens, investors, and international partners. She adds that the commitment sets a high standard for other government institutions and organizations in the country. The Ministry of Finance and National Planning is mandated by law to release the annual financial report. The Zambian Civil Liberties Union, ZCLU, an advocate for child rights and welfare, has strongly condemned the recent incarceration of an 8-year-old child by a police officer at Matero East Police Post. Organization Deputy Executive Director Maurice Makulu says it is not only a blatant violation of the child's rights but also shows gross irresponsibility by the police. Mr. Makalu says the incarceration of an 8-year-old child raises an alarming disregard for the child's fundamental rights and a clear violation of the Penal Code, the Juvenile and Children's Code Acts, Regional and United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which provide clear guidelines for the protection of children's rights, dignity and well-being.
The Zambian Civil Liberties Union, we condemn the detention by the police of an 8-year-old child. It is a disgrace. We cannot accept it as a people. We cannot accept it as a country. The police are making strides in educating and training police officers in matters of child protection. As ZCLU, we have even engaged them to find common ground for cooperation to ensure that the enforcement of the Children's Code Act is well coordinated with other stakeholders. So there is serious efforts on the part of the police to ensure proper enforcement of children's rights. That said, this incident of detaining an 8-year-old child is a disgrace and we condemn it in the strongest terms. We also condemn Honorable Miles Sampa for sharing the photo of an 8-year-old child revealing the identity. That's irresponsible and it should not come from a public figure, a leader of society like an MP. Zambia as a society, we must start taking caution of how we treat issues of children, because very soon some parents and even just ordinary members of society will find themselves dragged to court by the Zambian Civil Liberties Union for abusing children's rights. We urge the police to investigate thoroughly and bring the culprits to book in this incident. Let an example be shown that children need to be protected both by the law and by our culture and norms.
Meanwhile, the Human Rights Commission has condemned the detention of an 8-year-old boy of Matero Police Station in Lusaka on the 11th of July 2023, describing it as an unlawful and a gross violation of the rights of the child. Commission spokesperson Mwelwa Muleya considers the detention of the child on an alleged offense of being in possession of a sharp instrument while fighting with another child as not only unlawful but also unjustifiable in a democratic Zambia that is anchored on the respect for the rule of law and human rights. Under the Children's Code Act No. 12 of 2022, the age of criminal responsibility of a child is 12 years and above. And Mr. Muleya says the child below the age of 12 years is not criminally liable for any act or omission. You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take a second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, midday news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
And now in international news, a high-level summit between the African Union, the Regional Economic Communities and Regional Mechanisms Organization opened in Nairobi, Kenya on Thursday. And Egypt hosted a meeting of leaders from Sudan's 6 neighboring countries in Cairo on Thursday to discuss the ongoing conflict in the northeastern African country. For more in the international news, here's a roundup.
Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi hosted leaders from Sudan's 6 neighboring countries in Cairo on Thursday for the most high-profile talks since conflict in the country erupted in mid-April. Attending the meeting were the leaders of Ethiopia, South Sudan, Chad, Eritrea, the Central African Republic and Libya. Allow me to seize this opportunity to present to you Egypt's vision for Sudan's exit from its crisis, which is based on the following elements. First, calling all warring parties to stop the escalation and begin serious negotiations aimed at an immediate and continuous ceasefire. Second, call all Sudanese parties to facilitate all humanitarian supplies and open safe passage that leads to the most needed area inside Sudan, and putting in place a mechanism to guarantee protection for humanitarian aid convoys and international relief employees to facilitate their work. The conflict, which has killed at least 3,000 people and wounded over 6,000, is being fought between the military and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Both sides have agreed to multiple ceasefires, all of which have foundered. A high-level summit between the African Union, the Regional Economic Communities and Regional Mechanisms Organization opened in Nairobi, Kenya on Thursday. The 5th mid-year coordination meeting takes place from July 13th to 16th and will be attended by 51 foreign ministers from the AU member states, with 15 heads of state meeting on Sunday.
This 43rd Ordinary Session of the Executive Council is taking place at a time and within the special context of the international scene marked by conflicts and various crises. Our continent has not been spared. It has suffered head-on the various upheavals and deflagrations which have worsened the already fragile situation.
The summit will consider the AU's financial budget for 2024, as well as exploring ways to enhance integration and boost trade across the continent.
The war in the Sudan, the conflict in eastern DRC, the transition process in Mali and Burkina Faso and Guinea, the war, Russia and Ukraine, which is weighing heavily and negatively on the agricultural production of Africa. And these are so many concerns which in fact remain at the very heart of our political and diplomatic program.
The summit is following the AU's theme of the year, African Continental Free Trade Area.
The AFCFTA is an important step towards economic integration of Africa as recommended by the Abuja Treaty in 1991 and repeated in Agenda 2063. However, there is still a long way to go in order to attain the objective and to integrate the continent and to have interconnectivity.
The meetings were started in 2017 as the main forum for the AU and regional economic communities to coordinate and discuss key continental issues.
We now have some sports news. Now, sports news tonight, the Zambia national football team players say they are doing everything possible to ensure that they quickly acclimatize with the weather before the World Cup kicks off. Midfielders Susan Banda and Susan Katongo told Fast Media that the weather in New Zealand is cold, but that the team is working hard to ensure that they are ready by the time the tournament kicks off. They say that they are at the World Cup to compete and not just as mere participants, adding that they will not allow the weather to affect their plans. The two players further said the team has a few more days to acclimatize and that they will make sure they maximize on the remaining days.
Great. Maningi after being absent for a long time, then Nabwera back straight to the World Cup. At some point I had lost faith that I'll come back, but it's God. We always say thanks to God, and God has plans for us always. Vametima plans, never made plans ya Mulungu. Although I was thinking of giving up, but still, Mulungu anakamba, no, it's not over. We need to come back. I think we are here to compete, not just to participate. So they should expect a good fight from us. Yeah, it's very cold, but hopefully we'll adapt soon. The first day of training, we really trained very well, despite the weather, but hopefully we'll cope with the weather very soon because we have a lot of days ahead of us before the tournament. So the weather is really different from the one from Germany, but hopefully we'll cope with the weather. We've just remained with few days before the tournament kicks off. I'm sure a lot of people are expecting a lot from us because winning Germany, it wasn't an easy game. So people are expecting a lot of, they have a lot of expectations from us, and we're urging them that we're going to work hard, we're going to put in a very good fight because we are not here to play or just to add numbers, but we are here to compete and probably find ourselves in the finals. I think more especially to us, the young ones who are part of the team, we are really giving motivation to other young girls who are not here. I'm sure them seeing us here playing with the senior women's and other elderly players, it's really giving them motivation, and I'm sure they are getting inspired because of us, and they are working hard so that even them, they can find themselves here.
And still in sports news, the Zambia national team have been grouped with the World Cup semi-finalists Morocco in the 2026 World Cup qualifier. Others in the group are Tanzania, Eritrea, Republic of Congo and Niger. Morocco were the surprise package at the last World Cup when they went all the way to the semi-finals of the tournament. To end Camnet television news, the top stories once again. The Patriotic Front anticipates the arrest of the former First Lady, Esther Lungu. Bus drivers call on police to help curb the infiltration of CADRES in bus stations. Two maids in court for stealing 15,000 United States dollars and underwear. In international news, Egypt hosts peace talks in Cairo on Sudan conflict. And in sports news, Copper Queens intensify preparations for the World Cup. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Proverbs 21, verse 21. Whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor. Thank you again for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.